Hi, this is Kaustav Mukherjee, and today I'll be starting a new series rather, which is basically distributed and scalable inferencing on Kubernetes. As you know, with the advent of the machine learning systems for the last almost like 5-6 years, we have started to productionize the machine learning environment. And for productionizing, what we need is basically the scalability is one aspect. The other aspect is whether you can use the FPGAs and the GPU drives or not. So because some of the models are really heavy, and even on inferencing, even when you inference, you need the power of a GPU because they are actually very deep models, and especially in generative adversarial networks and some of the neural style transfer, you find very heavy models. So there are two aspects to look into when you are actually doing a distributed inferencing. One is basically the scalability aspect, which is basically as this particular series is basically based out of Kubernetes. So Kubernetes being a distributed orchestrator, rather it's kind of distributed orchestration. So it takes care of the distributed aspect of the data chunking and that part. But when it comes to the GPU, so we have to build our Dockers in that way so that it can actually take the advantage of the GPU, and it can do the inferencing. So when it comes to a inference pipeline, so when people are making a production grade inference pipeline, there are two kinds of inference pipeline. Basically, inference pipelines are it can be of two kinds, of two uses. So the first usage of inference pipeline is that suppose you are building a model and you want to test the performance of a model. So your model is already built and it is published in some maybe in some REST based or in some Kafka based queue, and after that basically what the testing team does is basically it puts the data, it basically lets the data in and hit the model, and it sees the output, and that is how the manual checking of the output is done. That is also known as eyeballing of the output, eyeballing of the model output. And in a machine learning project, however automation we may do, but the manual labeling is always a very important aspect of a proper industry grade machine learning project, because without a initial start of manual labeling, you cannot expect your machine learning to do all the labeling by itself. You have to provide it some intelligence. So in a production grade machine learning pipeline, there should be one channel which will actually constitute of this pipeline, which will enable the manual testers to test the model using the data they provide while the testing phase or the QA phase of the machine learning is going on. And the second kind of pipeline is basically the automated pipeline, the pipeline for the automated microservices to consume or to use this particular pipeline. So for this reason, I have divided this particular series into two halves. The first part, the part 1, which I'll be explaining today, it will constitute of the manual, how we can build a manual pipeline, and what are the essential properties that you need to have in a manual machine learning testing pipeline, how you are going to manually test a model. And in the part 2, I'll be focusing on how we can build the automated pipeline which the microservices can use for their machine learning, for the automated machine learning pipelines. Like there can be some microservices which generate some data and it feeds to a machine learning pipeline, and then the machine learning pipeline does some prediction or it does some generation, and then it outputs the output data and it goes to some IoT, maybe some IoT event or some kind of automated process. So for the manual, when we are designing a manual pipeline, what we need to have is basically, suppose there is a tester, we had got some, suppose I am explaining you use case of image when we are testing the accuracy of, say, suppose of a neural style transfer of a GAN. So in a GAN, what you give as an input is basically an image, and it does some style transfer to the image and it outputs some image. So as a manual tester, what I'll do, I'll have some images and the model will be published somewhere where I'm serving the model, and I'll pick each image and I'll push that to the particular queue where the model is being served. And for each image, the manual pipeline, which will be explaining today, will take that particular image, it will use the model to do the style transfer, and it will put back the image in the local file or some local folder or the local computer from using which the manual tester is testing the model. So for this, one of the protocol. So first let me come to the protocol. What protocol should we be using? So one data we take as a manual tester and we push it to the model, and the model runs on the data and it pushes back the data to us. So one of the most useful protocol for this is basically the REST protocol. So the REST protocol will be a very useful protocol because each data we can actually pass by a REST without needing to have having any installation libraries like Kafka or any installation libraries like Mosquito. So we don't need any kind of installation for the REST, and we can use our local machine we can just use a HTTP request. It can be a HTTP request, and as a response we'll be getting back the image. So what the tester will be doing, like he will take the image and he will send the image to our model server in a kind of HTTP request. The model server will accept that HTTP request and it will accept the payload of the request, which is basically nothing but the image which the manual tester gave to the model server, and the model server will pass the image, or it will push the image, or it will pass the image through the generator or the model which we are having, and it will take the image output and it will send that particular output or the styled image or the output of the generator back to the user local as a part of HTTP response. So that means without needing to have any external libraries installed on our local machines, our manual tester will be able to use our framework to test the model accuracy manually. And for achieving this particular goal, we will be using Kubeflow's, one of the Kubeflow's component of Kubeflow serving. So Kubeflow has got a number of components for the inferencing, let me tell you. So one component is basically Knative, one component is basically TensorFlow serving, one component is basically PyTorch server, and other is basically NVIDIA Triton. So NVIDIA Triton, Kubeflow is not maintaining anymore. So NVIDIA Triton, among all these four, NVIDIA Triton is the only out of the box API, framework, which will enable you to use a GPU for your inferencing. But the problem with NVIDIA Triton is that if you are using an open source, if you are not paying the license, you can only use for a single container. You cannot have multiple containers running on GPUs. You can only have a single GPU or a multiple GPU in a single container. You cannot scale the container if you are using NVIDIA Triton. And the other is basically TensorFlow serving. So as particularly in this lecture, we are basically focusing on PyTorch, serving the PyTorch model. So I'll be focusing on the component of Kubeflow, which is known as PyTorch server. So let me tell you, this PyTorch server of Kubeflow has been there for quite a long time. But even in my Medium article, I have written about it. But the biggest problem with PyTorch server of Kubeflow is that PyTorch server, the documentation of the PyTorch server of Kubeflow is really hard. And it is really like, if you open the PyTorch server, when I'll be showing you the demo, I'll be showing you. So when you will open the PyTorch server artifact, the YAML, it is not very straightforward how you will actually put your custom image, because the example which Kubeflow has given, that is basically an example. But if you want to use it for your production purpose, you have to fit your custom image in that, where your custom model or your custom inferencing code will be there. And the documentation, in the documentation, it is not very straightforward how you can actually fit your custom image, in the PyTorch server YAML. So today I'll take you through the entire journey, how you can use the Kubeflow PyTorch server to predict, to use as your manual machine learning testing pipeline, how you can use a custom image in the YAML of the Kubeflow PyTorch server, and how you can custom build and configure it for your particular use case. So let's go through the coding session where I'll be explaining you end to end, and hopefully you like that. For setting up the Kubeflow, Cave serving, the PyTorch server of Cave serving, Kubeflow component, which you can use to develop our manual testing pipeline, you need to first go to this GitHub. So I've added some new dockers to the existing Kubeflow, and I've added some new documentation. For the documentation, you can actually refer to this Medium article which I have already written for how to set up and how to test your custom model serving on using KF serving PyTorch server. But now I'll go through the small demo. And if you want to use this, you have to just go to this GitHub. You have to clone this GitHub, and after you clone this GitHub, you have to after you clone this particular GitHub module, you have to go to this folder, that is Python. And in this folder, if you look at, there are basically a number of Docker files. So this is a PyTorch Docker file, and this is a PyTorch GPU Docker file. So this is basically the PyTorch CPU Docker file, and if you use this Docker file, this is basically the PyTorch GPU Docker file. So what this let us have a look what this PyTorch Docker file is doing. I'll explain with the PyTorch CPU Docker file, and you can do the same steps to for the PyTorch GPU Docker file if your Kubernetes is supporting GPU pods. So now I'll quickly go through the PyTorch Docker file, and let's see how it looks. It basically copies the PyTorch server folder and the KF serving folder, and it starts the PyTorch server process. So that is the main thing of this Docker file, and before that is install some of the Conda and the PyTorch packages which are required, because we have wanted to test our PyTorch model. So it's quite obvious that we have to install some of the essential packages. So these are the OS essential packages we have installed, and these are the packages. This is the Conda and the PyTorch and the Torch Vision packages that are necessary to run our model. After that, we have copied these three folders. One is the PyTorch server, one is the KF serving, and the third party. So this out of these three folders, this PyTorch server is the main folder. Let us see how this folder looks like. And this is the folder that is going to actually have your models, and that is going to contain your models, that is going to contain your model code, your neural network code, as well as the model in the PT format, which is usually the PyTorch model that this particular module supports. You have to get your PyTorch model in the PT format, where the weights and the optimizer coefficients are kept. So we'll quickly go to this PyTorch server folder, and let's see how it looks like. And inside this folder, we have to go to this folder. So this is the folder where you can see a number of this model.py. So this is basically the when we actually start the PyTorch server, this is the particular code that actually gets served. Okay, so let us see how this model.py looks like. So basically it searches for a model that is named model.pt. So whatever model you want to serve. So you have to name your model PyTorch model.pt, or else you have to change the name. If you are using some different model names, then you have to change the name over here. And after that, there is nothing much. So this is basically the load, where how the model is getting loaded. So this is basically the folder path. So if we look over here, so this is basically the base folder. So from the base folder, you have to give the path. So the model is basically in the PyTorch server example models. So over here, this is basically the model which we are trying to serve over here, and this particular is basically the Python file that contains the structure of our neural network code. So if you go to this Python file, it contains the structure of our neural network code. So as we know that when you want to serve any Python model, not even just in Kubernetes, but in normal Python code also, when you are serving a Python model for inferencing, you have to give the structure of the code, where the generator code is written in the Python, in the PyTorch format, like the conf2d, the layers, where the layers are defined, where you define the layers. This is basically the particular Python file that serves at that layer definition. And the other thing is, what you need to give is basically the model that contains the weights and the coefficients that will be loaded. So this is basically the model.pt. So you can either give it in a model.pt or you can give it in a model.pth. So this is the usual how you actually load a Python model. So it is generic across all kind of PyTorch models, and will come out. So this is a folder that contains the model parameters, the coefficient, as well as the model definition. So now we'll quickly come out of this folder and we'll see the model serving code. So the model serving is basically done through this code, model.py. So this is, as I explained you, so this basically takes the model directory. So our model is basically in the PyTorch server example model directory, and after that it basically loads the model. So for loading the model, what it needs is basically it needs the model definition. So for the model definition, we have already showed you that there's a wider resonance.py, which I already showed you. So we just import that model and we load the state dictionary. The state dictionary comes from the model.pt that I explained a few moments back. So this is how the model loading takes place, and this is the second method over here, which basically we call while we call this model actually when we basically call this particular model serving, because this particular PyTorch server basically serves the model. So this particular thing loads the model and serves it. So if you look to the definition of load, it basically loads the model and serves the model, and this is the function which we call to use the model or to use the model to predict or to generate on our test data. And after it predicts, it basically returns the prediction in form of a list. So there is one more thing which I'd like to explain. For that, I'll once again go to the I'll go to another folder. So maybe I'll explain it after I show you how to, like, now that I've showed you the entire how the model looks like, how the model definition looks like, and how the model serving codes look like. Now I'll show how you can build this particular model image, the image of this your entire structure, and put it to the PyTorch server of the Kf serving Kubeflow component to generate the prediction pipeline, which is basically a REST-based prediction pipeline. So this PyTorch server, what I am explaining, is basically it follows a REST-based protocol. That means you can put your input data in a kind of HTTP request, and it will go and hit the model, and it will give the prediction or the output in the form of the HTTP response. So now we'll quickly go and build our Docker image, because if you want to give your custom code or custom models to this Kf serving PyTorch server, we have to give it in the form of a Docker image, because it's a Kubernetes environment. We know that we need some kind of containerization. So Docker basically is a container framework we use over here. So this is the folder, as I told you, that is having the Docker image. So this is the Docker image we are having, and I'll quickly go to my medium article because I don't want to type a lot over here, and I'll quickly go and build the Docker. So you can just go and build the Docker over here. So you can issue this command to build the Docker, and all these commands are already given in the medium article as well. So now the Docker is being built because it was already there. I already built it in my machine, that's why it was so fast. But when you will be building the Docker for the first time in your machine, it won't be so fast, it will take some time. And after you build the Docker, you have to push the Docker to the Docker repo. So I'll be pushing the Docker file to the Docker repo. So this is basically the name of the image. So that will be using for that is basically the Docker container that will be hosting our models and our custom models and our custom model definitions and the code. And after, now that the Docker is built and pushed, what we'll be doing, we'll be going to this folder, and I'll show you how we can now. I'll show you, which is actually not given in the Kubeflow manual and in the Kubeflow PyTorch server manual, how you can configure this particular Docker image in your PyTorch server artifact of the Kave serving. Where is that artifact? And if you want to find that artifact, you have to go to this install folder, and install folder there will be the I'm using the 0.2.2 tag, and inside that you will find the Kave serving.yml. So after you make the Docker image, which is basically, this is the name of the Docker image, you have to go to this Kave serving.yml, and come down, in line number 908 you will find that. So I think like this particular Unix is a bit tough for the eyes to edit, so I'll use the Jupyter for that. So what I'll do, I'll quickly go to this install folder, because the Jupyter is already open in this server, so I'll be using this. It's easy to edit. So if I go to line number 908, yes, so this is basically the PyTorch. So because Kave serving can be used in a number of purposes, in a number of backends like PyTorch or sklearn or ONNX or TensorFlow. So this is the section of the YAML where you need to put your custom image for your PyTorch. So as my custom, this is where I put my custom image name, and this is where I put my custom image tag. So you have to just if you are using your custom image, so whatever custom image you are using, you have to change it over here, and then you have to save this file. And once this file is saved, you are almost done. And I'll quickly come out of over here, and what you need to do is you need to rerun this particular YAML. So as I told you, so we have made some changes to the Kave serving YAML. For that you have to delete first, and then you have to create again. So once you delete, so all the previous configuration maps will be deleted, will be wiped out, and when you create, the Kave serving PyTorch container will be created with your custom Docker image. And now we'll be creating see the config map. And now that we have created, as I told you, that once we'll be recreating that, our custom image will be reflecting in the config maps, and let's see if it is reflecting. So if we go to the predictors, and if I go to the PyTorch, yes, you see in the PyTorch, in the config map for the PyTorch image, it is reflecting our Docker image. So that means we are almost done with this. So the configuration is in place. Kave serving is using our custom Docker image with our custom model and model definition, and it is all set up. Now it is the time to start our PyTorch inferencing job. And for starting our PyTorch inferencing job, we have to go to this folder, so doc sample. Under doc sample PyTorch will be having the artifact. So this is the artifact which will start our custom PyTorch inferencing job on top of Kubernetes using the Kubeflow Kave serving framework. And to start that, we'll just simply issue this command, and let's see whether this job has started. So it is initializing. Let's wait for it to become running, and now it has become running. Let's see whether it's running properly. I will quickly go to the logs, and there will be an error because I have to give the container name, and these are container name which you have to see, and we see that yes, it is running fine. And now that it's running fine, we will see that what is the service name, because if we want to use the REST API to if you want to use a HTTP REST request to send our image to this job, we have to know that in which port our inferencing service is running, and for that we need to see the kubectl service, and we see that it is this particular service which we have to forward, and we'll forward this service because, as I told you, the tester will be having the images in the local, and he will send the images to a HTTP REST request, and in the REST request he will send the image as a payload, and for that our inferencing service port should point at the local of the user, because the user is not having any kind of extra packages to push that, so it will point to the local of the user, and for pointing that we have to just forward the port of the of this Kubeflow service, and this is how we forward the port of our Kubernetes service. It's a Kubernetes service, and we'll be forwarding it. So as you can see that this is basically the master service, and will be forwarding this port 80. So it has died for some reason, and not a problem. Let's quickly delete the pod and recreate, because these are kind of zero scaling service, so if you don't use that, it dies out. That is one of the issues with KF serving Python server, which I am trying to solve. And get the service once more, and we'll forward the service. We are forwarding the service because the service is ideally running in the Kubernetes server, and we cannot directly connect to this particular address because these are Kubernetes internal addressing system, because Kubernetes maintains an internal addressing system of its own. So if we have to reach this particular service, we have to forward it to our local machine, so that it points to our local machine, it points to some port of our local machine, and whenever we put some HTTP request to that port, that actually handles the request. So it is forwarded properly, and now we'll quickly go to I'll go to my Medium article. To test it, you have to run this command. You have to just send a HTTP request to the port number 15019 in our local machine, because we already forwarded the Kubernetes port to 15019 in our local machine, and you have to change the data. I'm sorry, I forgot to change the data file name. I'll be explaining this thing as well. and as you can see that we send some data. So now I'll explain you the REST HTTP request, how it looks like. So these are host where it should hit. So as I told you that Kubernetes, this service was essentially running in this particular host which is internal to the Kubernetes networking. So to get access to this particular service, we forwarded this to our local host, which is basically this particular machine's local host, and to this particular port 15019. So that means we don't need to know the internal address of the Kubernetes. We have to just put the HTTP request in our local host and at the port 15019, and this is exactly what we did. And this is basically the model name, which we basically, when we started the pytorch.yml inside the doc.samples folder, this is basically the model name that is there. So if we go, I'll just quickly show you. So this is how the PyTorch YML, so the artifact for running our inferencing service looks like, and this is basically the name of the particular Kubernetes pod. So that's why this particular thing, we are putting this as a name. So this is what we published the name of our inferencing service as. So we have to put the name over here, and after that we are just called the method predict, which I explained you a few minutes back. So this is the method, we just need to call the method, and this is this particular thing with the D, this is basically the data. So these are image data. We have to just convert our image data into a JSON, and for converting that we just need to take our image data and we need to form it in a key value pair, where the key will be instances. It will be a fixed key, which is basically instances, a text with the value instances, and the value will have the list of all the pictures that you want to send to the HTTP request. And once you send this, it will give you back the particular image as the output. So this is the image of the output that gave back. So I'll run this thing once more. I'll just delete the inferencing service once more. I'll recreate that. I'll get the service name. You have to forward the service. And once you forward the service, you have to come to this folder, kfservingpro docs.sample.pytorch, and you have to send your data and to the method predict with your pod name over here. So I gave a particular image. So this particular data 365.json contains an image in a key value pair, where the value contains the image, the 3 dimensions of the image in the red, blue and the green, and the key contains a text which is of the value instance. And what I get back is basically the prediction, which is basically the key, and the image with the 3 dimensions in a 3-dimensional array. So that's all from here, how you can use the KF serving PyTorch server to set up a manual testing inferencing pipeline using the HTTP REST protocol. And in the next video I'll show you how you can make a automatic pipeline, machine learning, deep learning inferencing pipeline for the microservices to consume. Till then, have a nice time. Bye bye.